in the comment box on your GoToWebinar panel. It should be somewhere on the right side of your screen. My name is Shubh. I'm part of the Enrollment Solutions team at LeadSquared. Most people on here know what we do, but just to give others a brief background, LeadSquared is the enrollment platform that is used by over 400 career schools in the United States and Canada. We help you identify the messages and methods that are working best for your top admission reps, and then let you scale those to your whole team and all your leads using our solution. Now today's webinar is about split testing, a simple way to increase your conversion rates, qualified leads, and enrollment revenue without breaking the bank in 2020. So with us today leading the presentation, we have two grandmasters of enrollment, Gregg and Shane. They both are the founders of Enrollment Resources, a leading admissions and marketing consulting that's been helping higher ed institutes for over 17 years now. I let Gregg and Shane introduce their work further and take this presentation forward. We'll take all the questions in the end. If you please look around the screen, in the same GoToWebinar box, you would spot a button that says questions. Please click on that and type everything you want to be discussed in there. I'll read it out loud in the end for everyone to hear. Thank you. I'll let you take this away, Gregg. Hope you guys have a great time.
Great, thank you very much. So just a point of clarification, it's Shane Sparks here, and my colleague Tom King is joining us today. Gregg's not on the call. But, boy, I sure like that Grandmaster term. I don't know if it's warranted, awesome. But I like that one. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Excited for the topic.
Yes, me too. So my role, I'm one of the co-founders here at Enrollment Resources, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend Tom King, who's our VP of Client Service and Training. And Tom is more experienced than I am in the role of school management, testing, marketing, and admissions. So we should have a good conversation. And we're excited to share some tests and some information on how you can improve conversion rates in your school. So to get going, we are, you can read it, a leading marketing innovator for profit. So basically we do four things here, and it's germane in that it relates to us understanding and finding the little things that help you grow your enrollments. So the Virtual Advisor is a suite of conversion optimization tools. We're going to be sharing some tests that came out of Virtual Advisor in this presentation. We do Google Ads management. We're going to be sharing some landing page tests today with ways that hopefully will help you improve the ROI you get from Google Ads. We have a service called Website EDU, which is a conversion-rich website platform. We're going to be sharing a few tests related to websites and show you how you can improve the conversion rate of the visitors that are coming to your website into an inquiry. And all this is rooted in a thing we call the Enrollment Management Scorecard, which is a comprehensive best practice analysis tool. It's sort of the foundation of our marketing and admissions work, and it's how we understand best practices. So that's enough about us. Tom, can you tell the good folks on the call, just give them a primer on conversion rate optimization, what that means?
Absolutely, great to be on the call. Excited, love these topics. But really, I think conversion rate optimization is really, I think, the hallmark of what we try to focus on here. But it's trying to optimize the number of people completing a certain task. It could be, defined as the percentage of visitors who are filling out an inquiry form, number of visitors on your website that fill out a web form. It could even relate to admissions on converting them from an inquiry to an appointment or any of those types of paths. It's really trying to move somebody forward, and at what percentage rate can we get someone to take action or take the next step in what we do. And I think a key for us is making sure that we can help increase those percentages of people taking that particular action by small incremental rates, and when you add them all together, it turns into quite large results for you.
Right. So it's sort of a compound interest kind of principle. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. They all compound. They add up to little gains, add up to extremely large gains on the back end.
Yeah, interesting. And for those on the call who are budget-minded or trying to squeeze out maximum performance out of the money and the resources they have, is it fair to say that conversion rate optimization is probably the most practical applicant marketing discipline to squeeze out maximum return on your marketing dollars? Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. I think that's really the key. Before you'll spend the next dollar, make sure that the first dollar that you've spent is running as efficiently as possible, and you've maximized every single thing that you're doing on that key metric. So if it's whether it's Google AdWords or your website or what have you, you want to make sure that the first dollar is being maximized before you go and spend additional dollars.
Yeah, I like that. So for the sake of our conversation today, conversion rate primarily is going to mean the percentage of visitors either coming to a website or ending up on a landing page who convert to an inquiry. That's how we're going to define it today. Conversion rate does apply at pretty much any step of the funnel, but that's the focus of our conversation today. And we're going to share some test results, and our goal is to help you generate more leads without buying more media. So split testing or A/B testing, just the primer on this so we understand the context today, is basically half the traffic is sent to one version of a landing page or a website page, and the other half is sent to a different version. And what we do is track the amount of those that convert to an inquiry. So it's a marketing science that allows us to figure out, is this headline better than that headline? Is this color better than that color? Is this layout better than the other layout? And so through this iterative testing process, we find gains, things that work. And what's awesome about it is that the gains tend to be permanent, meaning when you find something that works better than the previous thing, that continues to be true usually forever, which is great. So it's a bit of labor to figure it out, but once you do, these wins are permanent and compounding. So the last setup to this is really what we call Persuasion 101. So, we're trying to get more people to take action, and there's basically three tools at our disposal to do that. The first one is copy. The copy meaning the writing, the headlines, the words you're using to try to inspire action and motivate an inquiry. The second is the call to action, which is an advertising term meaning what are we asking them to do? How do we get them to do it? And your call to action can influence the results. And the third part is credibility, meaning does the person looking at it, the viewer, that prospect, do they view you as a credible solution to their problem or not? Generally, those are the three variables that make up persuasion. Tom, do you have any thoughts on that before we get into the meat of it?
No, just to piggyback on one of the things that you said, I think is really important, that copy can influence call to action can influence copy, credibility can influence call to action. So they all have a little bit of an influence on each other. They're all really important, but they all affect each other when creating good persuasive movement on a web page or a landing page to a specific call to action.
Yeah, great point. It's a little like diet and exercise and sleep, right? If you're trying to get healthier, you can exercise, but if your diet sucks and you're not sleeping enough, you're not going to get really any healthier. So they are correlated and interconnected.
So because I'm going
Okay.
to the gym every day, working out, but I'm eating ice cream at night, is that why I'm actually not losing
Yeah.
weight right now?
Yeah, that's the problem I currently have. Okay. One of the questions that comes up a lot, right, is what should my conversion rates be? Like most schools, that's because we all like to know how we compare to each other. You know, and so it's a little bit of a, it's like a measurement of your heartbeat in a way. So we're going to share common conversion rates, and this is a website stat. So on your website, you're getting some amount of people coming there every day, right, or every month. There's a percentage that should be converting to an inquiry. So we pulled data. Now this is middle of or beginning of spring last year, so it varies a little bit, but it's pretty consistent for our clients. So the average for all our clients was 6.02%, meaning 6 out of 100 people that came to the website converted to an inquiry. The lowest in that sample was 3.19%. The highest was 12.38, right? So there's big swings, and the persuasion influences things like the market and the amount of competition you have, the programs you offer. Those also influence conversion rate. Tom, what would you estimate a typical conversion rate for a non-optimized website is?
I think I've seen roughly around 2.5% being a pretty good average for most school websites and most client websites or non-client websites that I've seen.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I said that's generally the number we land on internally here. So when somebody comes to us, they're typically converting to 2.5%. So if they're getting, let's just do the math real quick. So if we're getting, 2,000 visitors to the site, which would be a smaller school, right? And we're converting 2.5%, that's what, about 50 leads a month, inquiries a month that are coming off the website. Is that right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so if we're up, if they get up to 6, what's that? Be about 120, right?
Yep.
So that's 70. The difference is 70 leads in this example, in this small example. So 70 times, I don't know, a conversion rate of 7-8%. Is that realistic?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's about, I don't know, 5 enrollments, 5-6 enrollments.
Yep. Five enrollments. Yeah.
Times, I don't know, 15 grand. So 5 times, what's 5 times 15?
7,500 or 75,000, right?
Wow. Okay, so small school, the non-optimized versus optimized, that's about $75,000 per month in revenue gains.
Right. Nearly $1 million a year just on that piece alone.
It's amazing. So that's when we talked about the small things make a big difference. This is one of those small things that can make a big difference. And what's cool about it is that you're not spending more money to get that additional $1 million, right? All you're doing is doing a better job of presenting yourself to the prospects and the people that you want to respond. Okay.
Right. I think that's really the key takeaway or key point from that is we're not spending money on driving additional traffic and trying to do all kinds of. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do these things, but we're not blogging every day. We're not buying all kinds of ads. We're not driving traffic there through social media. We're just improving the copy and the call to action on the website that we have. And through that, we're making an extra $1 million a year without spending any money.
Yeah, that's for a small school, right? A couple thousand visitors a month. If you're getting 10,000 visitors a month or 20,000 visitors a month, then it's add 10 times 10x, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's get into some tests. This is the cool part. This is interesting. Okay. So the first test here, so multiple forms versus a single form. So what everyone's looking at here is a landing page. Obviously it would be cut off, right? So you'd scroll down. This is an example of a landing page. So given that we found more copy generally works better than less copy, so our landing pages tend to be a bit longer and there's a bunch of scrolling, we reasoned that if someone's scrolling down and we've got the form at the top of the page there, when they get to the bottom of the page, it would make sense to have another form, right? Because instead of making somebody scroll all the way back up to the top or a little button that pushes them all the way back to the top, we thought, hey, wouldn't it make sense to have another form at the bottom? And being judicious, responsible marketers, we also thought, well, we should maybe test it to make sure. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Who knows? You know, the human mind is an interesting and complicated machine. So everything else on this between these two landing pages was the same except this form on the bottom of the page. Really interesting. What was super interesting was that the single form increased conversion rate by almost 59% against that form on the bottom. So in other words, our belief that, hey, if, two forms is better than one was totally wrong, like totally wrong. And if we had not tested this, we would have, and had just implemented that irresponsibly, we would have hurt performance on this particular campaign by a lot.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas on why this would be true?
Hard to imagine. You would have thought that without having to scroll around, you would have made it more convenient, unless they're feeling that they're being sold to too much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. You know, part of, remember we talked about copy, call to action, credibility. When after this test ran, we of course debriefed on it. Thought, well, okay, why is that? Why is this true? And the conclusion we came to is that the two forms hurt the credibility of the school. It made it too pitchy. And as a result of the decrease in the credibility, prospects were less likely to take action because they viewed the school as less trustworthy. So what's also interesting is that the financial implications. So if we say, okay, what's the cost or the benefit of this result, right? How much money does that create or do we lose? And assuming for the math for this webinar today, assuming 100 leads a month and a 7% enrollment rate, meaning of those 100 leads, 7 are going to turn into students and an average tuition of $12,000, then the financial implications on this particular test were just shy of $600,000, $593,712. That is a lot of money that would have been lost because of a second form on the bottom of a page.
It's amazing how, again, how such a small little tweak can add up to huge revenue and enrollments. And these are people that potentially may not have gone on to complete their education. So outside of the revenue piece, we're in this industry too to help people achieve their dreams. So how many people did we hold back potentially? Dozens and dozens and dozens of people.
That's an awesome point. That's a really awesome point. These are lives unimproved, right? Which is the human cost of it is even greater. This is massively impactful. So, and we're smart, right? We're a marketing company. We've been doing marketing a long time. We test the heck out of things, and even we get it wrong sometimes. So we think, oh, hey, this is a good idea. And so that's the reason to test. So here's another one. Does video improve conversion rate? So you're going to have to use your imagination a bit on this, but on A here, right, the no videos. So this is a home page for a school. It's just a static image. It sort of shows the floor where the people would train. On the B, that auto plays a video in the background. So they've got a little promotional video. They show that you kind of paints a picture of the experience. So who do you think would win, Tom?
Well, I think a lot of people talk about video being a key. So seeing some activity and some action, you'd think video should improve conversion.
And you'd be right by a lot. So in this case, video improved conversion rate 25.97%, which is pretty significant. And the financial implication of that for the school is about $250,000, a bit more. So that little video playing in the background, just paint a picture of the experience, was $250,000. That's what that little tactic is going to generate in additional revenue. For a school like a beauty school, where you tend to get prospects that are experiential kind of people, right? Tactical, and the vibe, the feeling of the place would have a heavy impact on their buying decision. It makes perfect sense. I think, Tom, you've done research on the beauty school market. What are the primary motivations of a beauty school prospect? Do you remember?
I think number one is they're looking for a field and a career where they can feel fulfilled, and where they can, they're doing something that can help others as well. But that feeling of and being in something that interests them and a place where they can feel fulfilled as a career, and they really enjoy the interaction as well. So that's a very emotion-based industry as well.
And I think creativity and self-expression,
absolutely,
shows up a lot for them, as well as kind of like the emotional drivers of the buying decision.
Right.
Yeah. So you see an environment where it's creative and there's energy and people are doing cool stuff, and that paints that picture, right? That's the stuff where persuasion exists. It's interesting. Like, I find there's a fundamental misunderstanding of advertising, in that it's viewed as somehow a manipulation, right? We're going to trick them into doing something, trick them into filling the form, trick them into buying something, and that's not, at least in my experience, that's not at all the case. The goal of the advertising is to inspire action, right? It's inspire somebody to do the thing to unlock the song in their heart. Is that too noble sounding for lowly advertising?
No, I think that's absolutely perfect. Yeah, you're right. It's not about manipulation. It is about inspiration and getting them to at least want to explore the possibilities of what's out there and what they can do, and get to the core of why they need to make a change. We can't motivate people, and we're not here to manipulate people. We're here to hopefully get them to motivate themselves, through some good emotional and inspirational based copy that gets them to at least want to take that next step to explore what the possibilities could be.
Yes, awesome. Okay, copy. So, hey, let's talk about headlines. So headlines historically in advertising, the headline is the star of the show, right? So that is the thing that first somebody reads the headline and decides whether they're going to keep reading or not. So the programs on the screen right now, this was for a kind of a niche program that falls within massage therapy. So it's a specialization with massage therapy called for lymphedema. So we tested 4 different headlines in the form. Is ACOLS right for you? That was the name of the school. Become lymphedema certified in 11 days. Get certified quickly, quick and convenient lymphedema courses. And one was a clear winner. So maybe everyone listening, we don't have a way to do a poll, unfortunately, but you can do a little self-poll. Just think about what you think you would respond to, and we'll share the results. It was B. Become lymphedema certified in 11 days and improve conversion rate 40%, which is pretty amazing. And the control, so I'm just going to go back for a sec. The control is a calls rate for you. So that was the one we were trying to beat. Becomes lymphedema certified in 11 days, which, wow, that's a $400,000 headline. Why do you think that one won, Tom?
I think it goes back to, it's very specific what the benefit is. You're going to become certified, and we're giving you the time frame in which you're going to accomplish that. So it's giving you the benefit and the time frame in which you're going to, achieve that goal. So it's very specific. It's not some amorphous thing out there of, hey, become great. Become great at what? Or
Sure.
Hey, get certified quickly. Okay. How quickly? It's a little just too generic. Being specific as to the benefit and the time frame will increase that call to action on your web pages, or on this space, it's just a portion of the page, which is the actual call to action itself. It's just a clearer call to action.
Yeah, you're right. It's plain language that's specific and meaningful. So we want to talk just for a minute about the foundations of copywriting, because it's so important. As you can tell from these tests, right? These are just word changes, and they're having a huge impact financially. So the common mistakes that get made are sort of cryptic, unclear. So people write headlines, or they write marketing language to be cute or funny or clever, or they write it in the way they think an advertisement should sound. And it ends up being generic, meaning it could be advertising any business, or it's too cute, or it's unclear, and the reader has to do too much work, and when they have to do too much work, they just stop caring. So we've got two examples of homepages here that illustrate this point. So A, be the reason someone smiles. Train to become a dental assistant in as little as 10 months. Or B, start your healthcare career in months, not years. So Tom, which one would you more likely to respond to?
Just using the headline, I'd probably be, much more responsive to B.
Yeah. No, B is better because there's a sales proposition in there, right? There's a clear benefit, months, not years. On the other one, B, the reason someone smiles, I don't know, is it a dental office? Is it a free hug seminar? Is it, I don't know, is it a government initiative to, be nice to everybody every day? Now, the train to become a dental assistant.
The subhead there is great. So
yeah, well,
if they
talk to us
actually
about
use
that.
the subhead, if they use the subhead, the train to become a dental assistant in as little as 10 months, that was the headline, that would be a fantastic headline call to action. And that would be, again, it's specific in what you're doing and how soon you can accomplish that, creating a very specific benefit and goal.
Yeah, you could even just swap them and add "and."
Yeah.
Train to become
Absolutely.
a dental assistant in as little as 10 months and be the reason someone smiles. Now that's nice. There's a little emotional benefit attached to that. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so, and it's insidious, right? This stuff's insidious. It just happens everywhere, right? We're surrounded by it. Just this overload of cute sounding, irrelevant, unfocused, unclear language that hides instead of enlightens. So we can't give you a copywriting class, but this is the shortest course we can give you. Benefits should be stated, not implied, right? You don't hint at what it is, you state it in clear, simple language. And meaningful specifics, like the example in that A. Cole's call to action, right? Become lymphedema certified in 11 days. Meaningful specifics have way more impact. So 92.4%, 11 days, whatever, is going to be more powerful than over 90% in a little over a week. So the more specific you can be in your stats, the more credible it is and the more likely it is to have an impact. And then good leads for headlines, or how to become a start your. Those are good ways to start headlines because there's an implied or there's a benefit attached to that immediately.
And just to add on to it too, that language is very specifically about the explorer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like not get a career, which is too generic. It's about the explorer, or we are awesome, come here type of a headline. I see that a lot on websites of ABC College is dedicated to helping you achieve your goals. Well, that's not about the prospect. It's about you. You've made it about you.
Well, yeah, great point. The prospect doesn't give a rat's behind about you. They don't. Why would they? Right? They just care about themselves. There's an inherent self-interest in all of us that drives their buying decisions. And when we don't respect that and we impose ourselves, it's like a person at a party that talks about them, pins you in a corner and talks about themselves, right? For 10 minutes. You're just looking for a way to escape that because it's not a conversation. It's like a boring lecture. So there's two more examples here. You know, your journey begins here, right? Oh, so nice. My journey where? Or increase your earning potential as a practical nurse in only 15 months. Like, and I've heard the objections. I can feel it on the phone. The objections are, oh, increase your earning potential as a practical nurse in only 15. It's so ugly. It's so direct. It's not artful, right? Versus your journey begins here. It's kind of like an inspirational. It's the problem is with advertising that inspiration stuff does not improve conversion rates. That inspiration stuff's important in the admissions process, right, to help a prospect paint a picture of his or her future, but it has no place in advertising alone.
Right, and even the subhead on A there is, real, I think it's, practical knowledge, real world experience. Well, what is that? How does that help me achieve the goals I want? How does practical knowledge and real world? I mean, how does that? So what? And I think that used to be something that I used to focus on with my team a lot. Was whenever they started to just say features or give me a headline or something, I would ask, so what? If you can't answer me, the so what is the core. What does that mean, and how does it actually benefit me, the prospect?
Yeah, awesome point. Walk us through this next test.
All right, so what we've looked at in this test here is looking at the admission structure of the actual interview, which is on A, typically what most schools do now, which is very unstructured. Most schools don't have a script. It's just, hey, we sit down, we chat a little, we may ask some questions. I don't remember we don't have a sheet or anything that tracks it. We're just going through our normal admissions interview with very little structure. And B here, using our virtual advisor tool, we've actually taken a structured interview script, as it were, and kind of, I hate the word forced discipline, but it's essentially what it is we've made sure that the admissions rep actually goes through the process in the right order, asking the right questions at the right time in the right way, that would hopefully lead them to a better conclusion, as opposed to kind of we have a guideline, but our team just kind of does their own thing. So adding structure to that admissions interview, using the virtual advisor tool and scripting out the process, we wanted to test, does that make a difference?
And I can hear the objection from the admissions team. Oh, I don't want to, the relationship is so important. I don't want to have to follow some screens on a computer screen, or it's going to disrupt the flow of the interview, right? I need to be able to wing it somewhat because I'm responding to the vibe of the person that I'm interviewing, right? That's would be the objection, I would think.
Yeah. And that is the primary objection that we come up with. The key to that is practice and role play how to use it properly so that it becomes a second nature tool and not you focused strictly on reading a screen and typing stuff in all the time. You have to practice anything that's a pathway or a script properly. And you have to use your own emotion to do it. But when you also, it makes you cover the right things at the right time. It improves compliance and everything else. But sometimes if you don't have a script and you're not following something, you have a tendency to forget something, that you leave something key out. And for some reason, you can't figure out why that explorer didn't want to move forward. Oh, and after they're gone, oh, dang, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So clearly, we were leading to which the winner was. The structured interview won by a lot. So in this particular test, they were converting 41% of interviews to enrollments prior, and then adding it bumped it up to 56%, which, assuming 20 interviews a month per admissions rep, $432,000.
Wow.
So you got 3 reps, that's 1.2 million. And the only thing that's changed is the structure of the interview.
Having a clear defined pathway where you've tested each piece, and then everybody's doing the same thing the right way that works, as opposed to everybody kind of doing their own thing.
So if you're an admissions director or a VP enrollment management owner, school owner on this call right now, and you have an admissions team that you want to improve performance on, this is the first place to look. Because really, there's so many benefits to it. There's a little bit of fussing implementing with the team because there's naturally a bit of resistance. But once they see their numbers pick up, they love it anyway. Right? This is a huge benefit, and most of your competitors are not doing it. So it's a way to have a competitive advantage in the market you're in. Okay, I believe we have 3 more tests, and then we're going to summarize, and then we've got a surprise little something else. Then we can take some questions. Photography. Okay, so here's a beauty school. This is just a snapshot of the front part of a website. So get the skills to start a rewarding beauty career. Same headline, same everything about this page other than the photos are different. What do you think? Yeah, photo, and this one, I love this example. It's just so, now the photos were I don't think either of them are great photos. One is some better. It's the experience of somebody being a hairdresser. The other one's a technical detail. It's I guess showing off the technique on getting the hair just right. But it's easy to make these kind of dumb mistakes when you're putting together a website or a landing page, because whoever's building it, or a graphic designer or the web developer, whatever you're using, kind of just grab stuff to put it in, right? It's more of like a tick off the list item. It's generally not a hugely considered item, the photography. And as long as the photography looks, professional, quote unquote, generally that's the standard that web developers work towards. Of course, the problem with it is that the prospect, they want to see themselves in the story, right? I'm looking, do I want to be that person? Do I want to be this gal holding the hairdryer or not? And so being some anonymous set of hands is inspiring. And as a result, I don't take action. So this stupid photo, this little $5 stock photography photo, doubled conversion rate on this page. So this, using our financial implication math, it's $1 million photo. Show me anything that, or maybe it's a $20 photo, I don't know. Show me anything that I can get what's $20, $1 million against a $20 expense. That return on that would be what? 50,000%? I couldn't even figure it out.
You're exactly. Yeah, you're right. It is 50,000%. Which it's astronomical, and it's amazing how this is. This to me, Shane, is probably the easiest thing to fix on a website. You could look at a website today and tell what photo could potentially be better than that. But that's the easiest test in the world. It doesn't involve hardly any, copywriting experience and writing emotional copy. None of that. Just test some photos, and and I know on our end, we certainly encourage people to have a photo where if you can see someone's eyes, we found that those convert extremely well, and no more than 2 to 3 people in a photo. So none of these big 12-person group photos trying to get every ethnicity in it and everything that we don't try to jam as much into it. Just a couple people, so I can see their eyes, and if they can also look not a little less like a model or a stock photography and actually look like your students. If you can take your actual students, we know those convert at a fantastic rate.
Yeah. Well, that's the gift you could give yourself is to spend a little bit of money on a professional photographer to come and take some high quality photos of your students and your staff engaged with each other. That is the best marketing money you could spend. Because usually what happens is marketing people like us say, hey, client, send us some photos, and you send us absolute garbage we can't use, right? They're vertical and we need them horizontal, or the lighting's terrible, or it's crap photos and we can't use it. And so then we have to go hunt stock photography to look semi-decent. The stock's okay, but it doesn't express your brand in a unique way. And often you'll see competitors using the same photos you are, and you all kind of look the same, and it blurs it erodes the strength of your brand. So this is these are $1 million photos, and I don't know what a photographer costs. It's not that much though.
Not $1 million, I could tell you that.
Not $1 million. Okay, we have some new tests we've never shared before. So we're going to share a bit about Virtual Advisor in a second, but one of the things it powers is we call the Career Training Readiness Quiz. So it's an alternative call to action that gets put on websites and landing pages. And overall, we find this improves the conversion rate of that conversion rate of visitor to lead, just by virtue of having a quiz or a self-analysis kind of tool. So as we're always trying to continue to improve, what you're seeing here in the red box is an example of this career training readiness quiz promoted on a landing page. So it's partway down the landing page, and we're saying, hey, if you're not sure, why don't you take the quiz? It's just another way to generate a lead. So we did 3 tests, or we've done many, but in this example, there's 3 tests, and the words are more or less the same. It's just the styling around it. So A, the control is not sure if you're career training ready. And it's the illustration of a woman at a computer desk and a bit of language. B was, hey, is a career as a pharmacy assistant right for you? So the idea was that, hey, if we're more specific to the career, is that the program being offered, is that going to improve things? Or not sure if you're career training ready, take the ABC College Career Training Readiness Quiz and the little percentage ready graphic. Now, Tom, I don't think you've seen this slide yet. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think
so here live. Let's
say,
put you on the spot.
People are visual, so maybe having that little picture of somebody there would catch your eye a little bit. So A, maybe.
Okay, you're gonna say A. Okay, A improved things. B, no graphics. That made things worse. C, 96%.
Wow.
Now I put you on the spot, which is a mean thing to do, and I probably would have picked A too. So I just happen to benefit because I know what the answers were. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. It's amazing how just a small tweak like that can have a huge impact. I would not have guessed.
Yeah, and it's a more efficient graphic. Now, I think, when we try to explain things after the fact, so once we test something, there's the methodology is there's a hypothesis. What do we think is going to happen? Run the test, review the results, and then compare it against the hypothesis, and it either proves it or disproves it. So there's kind of a scientific method attached to it. So in this one, we looked at it. We said, well, okay, maybe the style and the gender is going to be limiting, right? So if you've got programs that are more male-oriented, it's not going to be as good, or the style of the drawing, it's kind of a feminine drawing, right? And so depending on the program, the career, that's not great. The nature of a quiz is you want to know, you get a score, right? That's the point of a quiz. That's why people take them, because they want to see how they compare either against themselves or others. So we reasoned that the kind of score graphic spoke to the intent of the call to action, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that little change, using our inputs here, that's a $850,000 improvement to a landing page. How are we doing for time? Okay, we got 12 minutes. Lots to get through still. Social proof. Okay, this is the last test we're going to share today. Second to last test. At the start of this talk, we talked about copy, call to action, credibility. Testimonials are a key credibility element, right? What others people say about you has a lot of weight with a viewer. And so we, want to take great advantage of the testimonials when we can, because that's the key element in the kind of persuasion formula. So in this test, we tested a few different approaches on testimonials. So this was the control, which we didn't include in the test. We just used comparatives against it. It's this thing called social proof. So social proof just means what other people say or behave influences, or what other people say is proof of your worthiness or your lack of worthiness. It's a psychological concept. There were two approaches we took. One was you've probably seen this on some websites. So you're on, I saw it recently on a page. I was buying something online, and these little alerts show up at the bottom of the page saying, "Hey, Sally just bought this 40 minutes ago. Joe just signed up for information 15 minutes ago," and they kind of they pop up. And the idea is that they're flagging. They're saying, "Hey, other people view us as worthy," and it's just this repetitive little alerts that come up. You should be too. It was a cool idea. These little alerts came up, so we implemented them on the page. It's hard to see in how this graphic's rendered, but it would, your page, you can visualize them popping up on the bottom. The B was, we just said, well, we're just going to put them as a section of that landing page. So it's just a section of the page that, what our graduates say, got the name of the graduate, the 5-star rating they gave us, and something nice they said, and then a little learn more button. So Tom, I don't think you've seen this test either, have you?
No, first time.
Okay, well, so here you go.
So can I be 0 for 2, or can I get back to 50-50 here? I'm gonna go with A, just because it seems like cleaner, and maybe I'm more used to seeing that. But
awesome. I remember initiating this test because I saw that little alert thing on a travel site or something. I thought, oh, that thing's awesome. We need to do that. And I pushed everybody to do it. I made it important. And I was totally wrong in pushing that. So I'm sympathizing with you, because I thought this is going to kill. This is going to be an awesome innovation. We'll put this on all our client websites, all our landing pages. Nobody does it. We're going to kill it.
Create a great sense of urgency, and everyone's going to jump on it.
I saw it the other day, and I'd forgotten about this test. I said, "Oh, we should try that again." And then we were putting the slide deck together. It's like, "Oh yeah, that was a massive failure." The other one was, I would say, a solid win. It's like a single to right field, but hey, I'll take singles all day long if we can stack them together, right? So this testimonial approach, the social proof approach, one would have cost money, the other was an incremental improvement. So that little section of the website just features some nice things your graduates saying about you. That's a $140,000 improvement to a landing page or a website. And hey, stack a few of those together, and that's real money.
Absolutely. I mean, once you add all of these together, you're talking millions and millions for a small school. So
yeah, it's nuts. So I'm going to blaze through the next few slides just so we can get to the last bit. But this is a section of a typical landing page that we put together. So we consider our best practice landing page. And the format of our landing pages has changed over time. As we learn new things, we constantly test new approaches. We actually have a new one that's going to be coming out in development out of testing, hopefully in March, that will be the new control. That's a bit different than this. So you don't get to see the latest, greatest one, but you get to see the iteration prior. The orange dots just represent elements, things that have been tested and proven to be useful. And you can see there's lots of them, right? And it's pretty much every element we can test on a page, we have tested one way or the other to see if it helps or hurts. And the reason we have an excellent reputation in the market and are able to win at paid search, which is a difficult field, I believe is the foundation of the rigorous testing of the landing pages that set up our team to succeed. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but the headline on the call to action, the headline on the main body of the landing page, the approach we use, all these things have been tested to try to drive up the likelihood that some of that click you bought on a paid search campaign is going to convert to a lead. Okay, give us a quick recap, and then we've got one more surprising test to share.
Yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, really, it comes down to testing on a constant basis. And how do you know whether something's going to be good or not? Whether something's going to not work? So test everything, every element that you can, but only test one at a time. Because if you try to test too many elements at once, you're not going to know which element had the best results. So it takes time to do these. But understanding too that these small changes are really going to add up to, really large implications. I mean, each one of these tests, I mean, the one was a large result with $1 million, but most of these were, a couple $100,000. Again, it's nothing to sneeze at, but when you start to add them up, you're talking large financial implications when they're aggregated together with it. And it's also going to allow you to to try out different things, not only on your website, but your landing pages that you can possibly be applying to your traditional media as well, whether it be email, direct mail, all of the same types of elements can exist in those types of media as they can on your online media as well. So if you haven't taken anything away from here, is that if you're not testing, or more importantly, if the marketing company that you have isn't testing and sharing those tests and letting you know what they're testing, they should be, and you should be.
Yeah. We had a testimony. Here's some resources that the VWO Optimizer, those are good testing platforms. There's other ones you can find. We had a client testimonial recently, sent us a lovely letter that I think got pushed out by our marketing team. But basically it said, we've been able to collapse literally millions of dollars in traditional advertising spends through the gains we've made in our online marketing. So this is a real school, right, with real money, and they were able to stop spending, in their words, literally millions of dollars in advertising because of the having plugged into our methodology and gotten the improvements they can get, which I'm super proud of, because, hey, I hate waste, and every time we can save a buck for a client, that's a win. Okay, this is the last couple minutes is a bit of a soapbox time for us. So what we've noticed in over the last 17 years is there's, our sector has gone through some ebbs and flows, and there's been a few shifts that are important. And I think the most significant one we've seen in the last, 5 years or so is this notion that engagement, that the marketing is really about engagement, right? It used to be a much more linear admissions funnel. We would control access to information the prospect could get. They had to fill out the form or call us to find out how much tuition was. Well, we can't do that anymore. That stopped in 2007. And with Facebook, Google, etc., it's super easy to access the opinions of others. So we control the funnel less, and it's less linear. So which was the germ of the idea for virtual advisors. So if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a software platform we created that powers different engagement tools that get plugged onto the website and on your landing pages. When we first launched it, we found that virtual advisor adding this kind of link would improve the conversion rates on the website about 16%. We were able to double that pretty quickly. And how we doubled it was we did some testing. And what we found, and this is important because it doesn't apply just to virtual advisor, what we found is when we promoted it as sort of a graphic on the page, right? It's healthcare right for you is a little graphic that sat like a little mini ad on the page. When we added it instead into the body copy of the program pages, so it was just a subhead and a few lines of copy, that the conversion rate, the impact on revenue and on lead flow doubled, more or less. And the only thing that changed, was how we promoted that offer on the page. Tom, am I being clear? I just want to make sure I'm understandable in what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I think we refer to it, as banner blindness. People get blinded by just constantly seeing these little ad banners or request info banners. So if you additionally put your call to action as text links into the body copy, you're giving, your explorers or the people on your page another opportunity to fill that out without trying to hammer them with a big banner or button or something.
Yeah. And I sort of have a more traditional advertising philosophy. I've been doing this a long time. And, over the years, I always hear, people don't read anymore. Everything's got to be visual. People don't read. And I've never believed it. And this test proves it out. So it was vindication I felt vindicated, because what it says really is that people are reading. And when we've looked at recordings of people interacting with websites and landing pages, which we do regularly, you can see how they do it. They scroll around. They may not read it from top to bottom, but they scroll and scan and they look for interesting things. So that banner blindness, that idea that graphic advertisement people ignore, is true. They do ignore it. So it's got implications beyond just promoting virtual advisors' career training readiness quiz. Anything that's important needs to be in writing in its own little subsection on your program pages and on your landing pages. Okay. That's it for our presentation. Look, we're a minute over time, which is pretty good. If you're interested in getting a demo of Virtual Advisor, please reach out to us. We'd love to do that and share with you and see if we can help you. I wonder if there are any questions or not.
Yeah, thank you, Shane. Thank you, Tom. That was some fun advice. We'll cover the questions now. I request everyone to get asking in your question boxes. It's right there on your GoToWebinar panel. Every question that you have ever had about leads, marketing, split testing. Okay, so here's the first, Tom. Okay, this is from the slide of CTA, where you have used A, B, and C slide. Have you tried the combo of picture plus validation? This question is from David.
I can answer that one. Yes. The current best practice for promoting that VA quiz is a combination of the C that won, right, that little graphic, and a program specific headline. So we ran, that's not included in this presentation, but we ran a number of tests and we found that if we're program specific, so find out if take the medical assisting career training readiness quiz, right, and had medical assisting in there, and when they click on the link, it showed up on a sign up page that sort of had a medical image on it and included that same headline on the sign up page. That both those things independently also improved conversion rate, if that makes sense.
Okay.
We keep some secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. David just wrote, got it. Both add value. Thanks. So we have another question here from John. So they mentioned that they run ads, and is there any specific thing that they can do to split test the ad landing page?
Tom, do you want to grab that?
Well, I think we just gave a good handful of them. The first thing I think that you should be split testing would be the actual request for information form. Where is that on the page? How is it laid out? And what are the what's the button say? Does it say submit? What is the headline giving you? What is the benefit of actually clicking on that? So I think, Shane, you can jump in on this part as well. But I think on a landing page, the most important thing is your call to action, your request for information form, is that set up correctly to convert, and then start to look at things like your imagery, your copy, and start to split. I mean, there's so many things on a landing page to start, but I think from a top-down approach, that's kind of where I would start.
Yeah, it's a bit of a how to eat an elephant kind of a question. John, either Tom or I would be happy to spend some time with you off this webinar to kind of review what you're currently doing and maybe either give you some guidance or suggest some tools that would help you. You can reach us.
If anybody out there has landing pages and you want us to take a look, just shoot us an email and or give us a call, and let's go through we'll give you a free evaluation of your landing pages and go through what you can do to improve.
Okay, Shane. Yep. Okay, Tom.
Yep.
So we have another question from Michael here, and this question is a little funny though. He's saying that his website slows down when he uses videos and photographs in his landing pages. So do you suggest any other alternatives which he can use to optimize his landing page?
So the landing page closes down, like it doesn't work?
Yeah, it slows down. I mean, the overall the page loading time of that page. And
sure, I can speak to that. That's likely a technical issue. So if it sounds like he might be hosting it himself, it's generally not a good practice, right? Because the few dollars you save in hosting it yourself, you lose by 1,000 times in lost opportunities. So either they're hosting it themselves for some reason, or they're with a subpar host. Generally, we can optimize pages to load extremely fast. And so by way of example, inside Virtual Advisor, we have a landing page module that will power landing pages for paid search campaigns. We've tested that speed-wise against Google's, Tom, do you remember what's called the Google AMP pages? So Google had come out with this technology called AMP, I forget what it stands for, It's basically meant to load them really quick, because we know that the slower something loads, the worse it is for conversion rates. And we were testing our landing pages against their AMP, and we were able to beat them in speed tests, which we took great pride in, or our CFO certainly did. So if you got things that are slow to load, you got a technical problem in all likelihood.
And that will also affect your ranking.
It hurts you in lots of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, Google takes that into account on your ranking. So ranking is not all about dollars. So just because Shane outbids me by $1 on a keyword or something doesn't mean he'll outrank me, because Google takes in other factors, and speed and load time are big factors for Google. So you can actually be hurting your ranking, even though you could be spending more and ranking less, simply because you don't have the right technology powering that landing page.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Shane. All right, Tom. I mean, we can wrap up this webinar. It was great to host you guys, and thank you everyone who joined in for this webinar.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it, and thank you everyone for attending.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.